Here we are, it's 2022, brand new year, brand new sales. We're here with Ron with IPX Exchange, and he's going to go ahead and talk about principal residents and getting them into investment property in exchange.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, as hopefully you know, 1031 exchange is for investment real estate. It's where you're selling investment real estate and buying investment real estate. Unfortunately, it does not qualify for primary residences, but there is a way to qualify for a primary residence as an investment and be able to take advantage of both tax rules. Around here in the southern Santa Clara and San Mateo region, we have a lot of clients who have highly appreciated primary residences. And when you sell your primary residence for a married couple, you get to keep the first $500,000 of capital gain tax-free, but oftentimes that's not enough. And if you sell your primary residence and your gain is in excess of that $500,000, then you pay tax on the excess amount. Now, is it possible to combine the 1031 with the primary residence? And the answer is yes. Now, there are two ways to do it. First off, do you have any portion of the property that you're already treating as an investment? Do you rent out an ADU? Do you have a home office? Anything that you are already declaring to the IRS as investment property as part of your house, that percentage of your sales price you can do an exchange on. Now, the truth is, though, most of us do not have a home office that we declare on our tax return, or we do not have an ADU that we rent out. So what are your options if that's your situation? Well, the simple answer is move out. Turn your house into a rental property. Now, after you've been renting out the house for a year or two, is that house now an investment? Yes. Does that house still qualify as a primary residence? Yes, it does, because it still meets the criteria of having lived in the property 2 of the last 5 years. So because of that, you're able to take advantage of both tax rules at the same time. So let's say you bought your house many years ago for a few $100,000, and today it sells for $2 million. And assuming you're a married couple, so the property sells for $2 million. Because you had converted the property into an investment, you could do the 1031 exchange, but you get to keep that $500,000 off the top. So you sell it for $2 million, you get to keep $500,000 in cash, and you could do a 1031 exchange on that remaining $1.5 million. And all of that $1.5 million needs to go to other investment real estate, not another primary residence. And so the note here, though, is that you are not just reinvesting the excess profit. You are reinvesting everything except the $250,000 or $500,000 that you're able to keep for the primary residence exemption. But if your goal is to sell your highly appreciated primary residence and you don't want to pay taxes, this is a good solution for many people, and it's one we are seeing a lot of people do these days.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. And you said that you have to invest all your property, all your excess, but you could take boot if you need to, right?
That's true. Yes, if you buy less, you just pay tax on the difference. Correct. So if you end up only buying $1.2 million worth of property and you needed to spend $1.5 million, you just pay tax on that $300,000 difference. That's referred to as boot. Exactly.
Yeah. And so you have a basis when you start your property, what you paid for the house. You can't really touch that money because that's part of the exchange without paying taxes on it. That will be tax deferred if you buy rental property, investment property with it. But if you were to take it out, it would be just treated as boot.
Correct. Your basis in the property is essentially your purchase price plus any capital improvements you made on that property. When you do an exchange, that basis are the first dollars that are rolled over into the next property. So anything that you don't reinvest is considered to be from your profit and therefore taxable. And that's the case in a regular exchange, or in this case where you're combining with the primary residence. Either way, that basis are the first dollars that are rolled over into the next property that you purchase.
A lot of our clients are, retirees, 70, 80 years old, and they don't want to mess with more rental property, so they do the Delaware statutory trust stock. Do you guys handle the purchase of that, or you just find a broker that helps them buy that?
Well, we frequently will have questions from people who want to buy property that is much less management. And there are 2 options for that. One of them, we have a lot of clients who buy what's called triple net or net lease properties. That's where you go buy a McDonald's or Walgreens.
Yeah.
You go buy a commercial property. You're not buying the business, you're buying the land and the building, and you're leasing it to a major corporation. So some clients will do that. Others, though, will buy what's called a Delaware Statutory Trust, or DST, where essentially that is fractional interest in commercial real estate. So you have companies out there who will buy $50 or $100 million apartment buildings, or large triple nets like a Walmart, or they'll buy a government building, and basically some large property that you or I can never afford on our own, and they'll sell it to you in percentages. And so you can buy a fractional piece as little as $100,000 worth of $100 million property sometimes. And the key is, it is good for 1031 exchanges because it is still buying dedicated real estate, so you have deeded interest in specific real estate, so it does qualify. Now, from our perspective as the intermediary, our job is strictly to hold the money between when you sell your property and when you buy the replacement. And whether that replacement property is a rental duplex in Los Gatos, or an apartment building in Sacramento, or 1% of this DST, for us, it is just a replacement property. So we have nothing, by definition, we have nothing to sell you. We don't provide those properties. I do know people who sell them. I can put you in contact with people who sell them. But ultimately, you're working with a company who's selling you this DST, and when you're ready to complete the purchase, we just send the money to them, and you buy your fractional piece of this large piece of commercial real estate.
Oh yeah, or we'll find a commercial agent to sell you directly that lease, or that.
Right, the triple net
net,
lease.
yeah.
Exactly. So that's another.
The triple that's a little bit more complicated, probably.
Well, it's a little more complicated, but it's also a matter of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have $3 or $4 million, a lot of people like the triple net. If you have $300,000 or $400,000, you're not going to buy a Walmart for $300,000. No. And so that's why the DST works for a lot of people, especially if they want to diversify. Yeah. But this morning I spoke with a client who's selling a $5 million property, all cash, and for her, she's going to go buy triple net property, but she will probably end up buying something that's $3 to $4 million, and then put the rest of the money into a DST.
I see.
So that's another possibility, is that you use the DST as kind of a fill-in or a backup, because you only have the 45 days to identify what you're going to buy. And in today's market, finding a good replacement property within that 45 days can be problematic. And so a lot of people will use the DST as a backup if they don't find something within those 45 days.
And if they're fairly wealthy, they can do a reverse exchange, but we could talk about that later.
I think it's I think that'll be for a different conversation.
Yes. Okay. And one other quick question, maybe you could give us a quick answer. Some of our clients buy houses, fix them, and sell them, and they want to 1031 exchange them, and there seems to be a little confusion whether that's really a product or an investment house.
Right. 1031 is for investment real estate. Investment real estate we typically think of as property that you can get rental income from, or property that you're running a business from. What does not qualify for 1031 basically falls into two categories. One, personal use. So your primary residence or second home, that is not investment real estate. Similarly, property that's held for resale is not considered to be an investment, and that we're looking primarily as flipping real estate. Yes. So you buy something, fix it up, and sell it to the IRS. You purchase that property with the intention that you were going to sell it, and the income you make from that is actually ordinary income. It's not capital gain. Similarly, a development. You buy their piece of land, put a house on it, sell it. As a spec development, that is not considered to be investment either. So typically we think, especially when we think of residential real estate, we're looking at real estate we're getting rental income from. And most accountants like to see at least 2 years of rental history for it to be qualified as investment, though that is not a number that is directly in the tax code anywhere.
Well, thank you, Ron. This is very informative. I can see that you have your number right here on our screen. And you can, of course, always call Stephanie and me for help with this. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.